Alright, we're going to talk about finding angles in circles. So, this is all going to depend on where the vertex is. Okay, so the first one, the easiest one, is when it's on the center. What do I mean by vertex? Vertex is the point in an angle. So I see that X is in an angle, and I'm like, alright, well here's the vertex. So the technique I'm going to show you to do, students that use this technique do very well with these types of questions. You're going to shade the angle. So if X is in an angle, or if it's in an arc, sometimes you will shade the angle that makes the arc. But it's in an angle, I'm going to shade it. And I'm going to go all the way out past the circle. And I see that this is the arc that's in it. Okay? Now when the vertex is on the center of the circle, those are so easy because it's just equal. And we actually already learned that when we did, what did we do? Just finding measurements of arcs, right? So central angle is going to be equal to, X is my angle here, it's going to be equal to the arc. Okay, so now I've drawn a bold line because we've got 3 other situations that we want to look at, and I put a bold line there to help you kind of look at the fact that all the ones at the bottom, whether it's vertex on the circle, in the circle, or out of the circle, all of these formulas have something in common. It's 1/2 of something, and 1/2 of something is the same as dividing by 2, by the way. So 1/2 of something, you're going to multiply these by 1/2 or just divide by 2. Okay, so here, this first one, vertex on the circle. So X is in an angle here, I trace my angle, I shade it all the way to the circle. Alright, so I found that I have this one arc. Now this time, where's the vertex? It's going to be on the circle, on, meaning this is the circle, all the points that make up the circle, the curve, the arcs. Okay, so if it's on the circle, alright, and I don't mean on as like here, that's inside. I mean on the curve. Okay, you're just going to find one arc, and all you're going to do is take half of it. Okay. Some people get confused when sometimes the X is actually not an angle, it's the arc. So what I want you to notice is when you're plugging in here, you're plugging the arcs in the arcs. Do you know what I mean by that? Like this is an arc, this is an arc. Okay, so you're plugging the arc measure into the parentheses there. So it's angle. X is equal to 1/2 of, and the angle that I shaded, when I shaded the angle, the arc that I found was 60. So that's what I'm going to use. Alright, now you can do this on your calculator one of 2 ways. You can do it just like you see it. Okay, but some students just rather go, okay, I've got the arc, I'm going to divide by 2. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. It's going to get the same answer. Okay? So half of 60 is 30. Now on the right here, what I've done is I've looked at one that would be maybe more challenging for students. So the first thing I notice is here's X, it's in an angle, and I'm going to shade the angle. So students might have problems with this for 2 reasons. The first reason is, okay, well, I don't have the arc. Or actually even before that, I don't see the arc, I don't get it. When the vertex is on the circle, if both lines go in the circle, okay, then it's pretty obvious. When one is a tangent, meaning it's not going to go inside the circle here, it's just going to touch it, it looks a little weird. People struggle with that. So where is the arc? Well, here's the arc, right? That's my arc. Sorry, it's not a very good arc, but there's my arc, right? Okay, well, I don't have it. So I might, at this point, say, you know, I meant to white that out before I copied these. I might, at this point, be writing down my equation. I know it's on the circle, so maybe I start by writing that down. But I'm not done because I need to find the arc measure. Alright, so what else is useful in this picture? Oh, wait, they gave me this arc. So the full circle is 360. So I'm going to do 360 minus 140, and I'm going to get 220. So this arc right here is 220 degrees. Alright, so that's how I did that. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. I've got the arc that's in my angle. Alright, I know it's on the vertex, so it's just half the arc. So the angle, X, equals 1/2 of 220. Alright, go to my calculator. 1 divided by 2 times 220. or just 220 divided by 2. Okay, you know, some of these pictures I drew, all these pictures on this sheet actually I drew, but some of them I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to my drawing. But as usual, you do want to kind of question your answers, look at your picture, does it make sense? 110, that's obtuse, so, you know, I like it. 30, that's a cute, you know, I like it. So make sure your answer makes sense for the picture. You're going to catch mistakes that way. Alright, next situation. Alright, the two here actually are kind of similar in a way. So with the situation where it's on the circle, you're just going to find one arc. When you're inside the circle, let me show you what happens. When you trace the one here where X is in, you find 100. But what do we know about vertical angles? Vertical angles are the same. So if we look in there, we have 30. Wait a minute. Okay, what happened? Well, here's the deal. If it's on the center, even if I were to draw a vertical line here, you do not have to do this, but even if I extended here to the diameter, this is going to be the same, this is going to be 60. So it's not going to matter because it's on the center. It's going to be equal to those. When it's inside the circle, so this one's inside the vertex, meaning, again, the vertex is the point of the angle. So this one's inside the circle, but it's not in the center. The center is like over here somewhere, right? So it's going to be two different arcs. And what we have to do is find the average. Okay? So sometimes people forget to shade their vertical angle. Don't forget. Here, if I extend that and try to look at the vertical angle, it doesn't hit the circle again. Alright, so what do? The angle, which is x, is equal to half. Don't forget your half. The only time you don't do half is on the center. This is the only time you don't do half. All the other ones, make sure you do half. Okay, again, my arc's going to go inside those parentheses. And when I'm inside, really what it is it's going to be between, it's going to be the average, 30 plus 100. Okay? Half of 130, or literally, guys, you can do this whole thing in your calculator. If you write that out, you can just put the whole thing in here, 30 plus 100, okay, 65. And again, I look at my picture, and I like it. It's a cute angle. Alright. I'm going to do this one first so you can just kind of make a connection between these two. So I'm starting basic. Here's X. It's in an angle, so I'm going to shade that in, trace the angle, shade it in. Okay, this time also I have two arcs. So when it's outside, look how small it's getting. Alright, so when I'm in the circle, I'm going to add them. Okay, when I'm outside, take out, I'm going to subtract them. My angle is the x. It's equal to half of, and it's arc minus arc. Now, because subtraction order matters, I want to always have a positive measurement, right? So I'm going to take the bigger arc first. It's always further away, and subtract the smaller one. Okay. So let's take a moment to kind of process this. What's going on here? Center, equal. Easy one. Everything else you're taking half. It's always about where's the vertex. When you shade the one that's on it, you only find one arc, so just take half. The other two situations are you're either inside the circle or outside the circle. When you're inside, my former coworker used to always say, when you're in the club, it's a good thing, and when you're outside in line, it's a bad thing. So that's how she remembered it. You know, I can't help myself go to the math, but when you're between those, that's an average. You're adding. Okay? So that's how I always remembered. Alright, so on the right I've got a couple that are a little more challenging, so how could this kind of trip you up? So again, I've got X in an angle, so I'm going to shade it. Okay, I did mean to white this out, but I didn't, so, you know, if that wasn't there, you know, I'm problem solving right now, and I'm saying, where's the vertex? The side of this is going, the side of that angle goes through the center, but not the vertex. The vertex is right here. So this is not on the center, this is in the circle. So I might, at this point, write this down. I know that I'm going to be using the plus one, okay, and I know I have to do half. Now, my issue here is I've got one arc, but I don't have the other one. So how do I find it? I look at the rest of the circle, maybe I can find, you know, do 360 minus everything else. I didn't have that. Oh, but wait. What's that? If this is a diameter, okay, you've got a semicircle. So this measures 180. So what's left when I get rid of the 120? 180 minus 120 is 60. So my last little piece of that semicircle is going to be 60. Alright, now I'm ready to go to my formula. So angle is half. I'm in the circle. It's a good thing, so I'm going to add them. So my angle is x is equal to half 60 and 100. Okay. Take a minute to do that in your calculator or do math if you want to. I've got one down here. Now here's the one that really gets people. This time x is not in an angle. It's on an arc. So when I need an arc measure, I often, you know, look at the rest of the circle first because that's going to be the easiest. I don't have these, so I'm not going to be able to use a circle this time. Okay, I was able to find this arc with the semicircle. Here, I can't find it that way. But I happen to notice I've got angles here. I've got an angle and another arc. So then I'm going to look at the angle because it has the arc in it. So remember, all of these formulas, the arcs are what you're plugging into the parentheses, and the angle is what you're finding. So when you have the angle, this is going to be an algebraic problem. The angle is equal to, I know I'm subtracting because I'm outside the circle, right? That's where the vertex is, outside. Now, I have to do the bigger one first, which is always going to be further away, minus the closer one. Okay, so it's just a couple steps of algebra. You can distribute that, or if you just multiply both sides by 2, you'll get rid of the fraction. Okay, and then it's going to be 40, right? 100 minus 40. Let's see, if I add x and then subtract 60, I get x is 40. I'm always a little uncomfortable with these algebra ones, so I'm going to say, alright, let's just double check this. Did I do it right? Alright, I'm outside the circle, so I'm subtracting, so I'm going to do 100 minus 40, and then I actually do them in 2 steps, to be honest, but don't forget the divide by 2. Okay, yeah. Alright, or you can, if you wanted to do it plugging into the formula, it's 1/2, big one, minus small one. Do I get 30? Yes, I do. And that was what the angle measured. Okay? Alright, so, you know, go ahead and stop the video and think about some of these if I went too fast, or watch it again, and then go ahead and try some practice.